Calling our meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. This time we'll have our invocation and our pledge of allegiance. Ask everyone if we would please stand. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your goodness, your grace, and your glory. Ask, oh God, that your spirit will continue to be with us as we convene to handle the business of this city. Thank you for being a watchman over our city. And thank you for protecting us and securing us all these many years. Ask God as we come together now that you would endow us with wisdom, give us sympathy, and may we have mercy. Ask God that your spirit will continue to bless all the citizens that reside within the city of Lynn Haven. Continue to bring us together in unity so that we may move forward to be a city that brings you glory. In Christ's name we pray. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time we have public commentary from Ms. Jerry Parker.
Good morning. Within the last 2 weeks, we have met with 4 of the commissioners, and we have discussed in detail the packet that we handed out to those commissioners. Now, what I'm asking of those commissioners is that you use discernment and really dig deep into what was in that information. That was not our opinion. Those are facts that we presented to each one of you. There are layers of corruption that was done by Ricky Ramey. There were false statements made to the FBI by Vicki Gaynor. That is a fact. When are you, as a commission, going to start paying attention to the facts? Because you're looking weak, and you're looking weak to the public, and it needs to be addressed. With that being said, Sam, I heard an interesting thing the other day, that Ricky Ramey asked for your phone records. Is that correct? That Ricky Ramey asked for your phone records?
Ask that you direct your comments to the chair, please.
Okay, well, maybe you can answer it in your comments. So also another thing that I would like to address is the lights on our entrance signs are on 24 hours a day. Shouldn't those be on timer? I would expect those are very expensive lights. So I'd like that addressed as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Walker.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners. A while back, I had a conversation with the Office of Chief of Police. In residence with that conversation was the Office of the City Manager. I assumed she was going to be a witness, or she was protecting the City Chief of Police. The discussion revolved around an interview we had with the former mayor when she investigated turning the police department over to the sheriff, which is done normally, and she investigated it and found out it could be done, economical. It has been done in Springfield, it has been done in other municipalities. This group here loves to do what other municipalities do. They don't like to stand alone and have enough guts to do it on their own. So they have to mirror what other people do. So the discussion was to make the police chief an elected official. The disagreement with that came from the Office of Police, said it would be political. And I said, okay, that's a good observation. However, as we stand now, we cannot do anything as citizens to the Office of the Police. Can't fire them, can't hire them, can't do anything. We can sit and watch and wait. However, if you're elected, you become the responsibility of the people. This didn't go down too good with the office of Chief of Police. He didn't like that. He says, I work for one person and one person alone, and that is the city manager. So with that statement, I knew exactly where I stood and where the people of this town stand. It's a bad statement. I didn't like it. I believe fully that we should look into making the office Chief of Police an elected thing. He would get his own budget. He has his budget now. He would get everything that's due to him. But he would be responsible to the people. The people could fire him, recall him, do anything they like if they find, according to Florida statutes, that he's performing outside his boundaries. That is the people's choice, not the office of the city manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen McElroy.
Before I get started, I do have.
If you'll give those to our city attorney, please. If you'll give all of those to our city attorney, please. Yes, if you would. If you'll give all those to our city attorney, please. Call to order. That's your public commentary time. All right, moving on to the mayor. Yes.
Are you going to come up here? I would just like to say the victim of Ricky Ramey was an African-American man. I want to thank you all for meeting with us, meaning the four commissioners.
Thank you. Call to order.
I invite the mayor and the city manager to do the same thing.
That's your time,
I think
Ms.
you'll find it's
McElroy.
educational.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Moving on to the mayor's report. Proclamation for Children Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas children are Lynn Haven's most valuable resources, and their health is crucial to our city's development, continued success, and well-being as a whole. And whereas Northwest Florida reports an average of 50 local children are newly diagnosed with cancer each year. And whereas cancer is the #1 disease killer of children in the United States, yet childhood cancer research is severely underfunded, where only 4% of the National Institute of Health allocates cancer research funding to children. And whereas research in the field of childhood cancer will allow for better treatment options, safety, quality therapies, and ultimately a cure for this deadly disease. Now, therefore, by the virtue and authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Lynn Haven, on behalf of the city commission and all the citizens of Lynn Haven, we do hereby proclaim the month of September 2024 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and encourage others to participate in efforts throughout the year to raise awareness and funding for childhood cancer research with Rally Gulf Coast, while supporting families who face devastating effects and costs. So we proclaim this on the 13th day of August, 2024. Thank you to city manager and staff for hosting a great music by the Bay. Saw a great turnout for that, and heard a lot of great things happen with that. Thankfully, though we were prepared for the storm that could have been heading our way, we're thankful that it did not land on us and that it moved eastward. Hopefully, those who were in the path of the storm are doing okay. I know there has been certain groups dispatched from Bay County to go over and to assist those who've been impacted by the storm. So let's continue to pray for those who have been impacted by that storm, and knowing that there are other storms that are on the way. So let's continue to try to be prepared and encourage our citizens to be proactive in their preparations, whether there's water, other supplies that's needed, sandbags. So do as much as we can to try to encourage our citizens to be proactive in their disaster relief preparation. Also, wanted to follow up with statement I made publicly. After further inquiry and discussion with Commissioner Ward, seemingly the eyewitnesses that stated they saw Commissioner Ward meeting with a group to conspire to fire Ricky Ramey and City Manager Vicky Gaynor during the election of 2021 were mistaken and did not see him in that group. So, Commissioner Ward, I do believe you to be a man of integrity, and so I certainly apologize if I misstated that you were there and you were not there. So that's my report for today. Commissioner Peebles?
Thank you, Mayor. I had my coffee meet at the end of last month. I will continue to do that, and I encourage anyone to come and sit down and have some coffee with me. Typically, I do it around the last Saturday of each month. I'll keep you all updated on when the next one is. I also wanted to bring up that right now is early voting for the primary, which is an open primary. So regardless of how you're registered, you can go vote right over here. In fact, I also want to give some props to the citizens of Lynn Haven. If you go on bayvotes.org and look at each precinct and how many people have voted, Lynn Haven Senior Center is #1 in total votes cast by a long shot. So good job to those of you that have voted over here, and just want to publicly thank everyone that's working the election. It's 2 weeks of early voting. This is the last week of early voting, and then August 20th will be the election. So please don't forget to vote if you have not. Again, open primary. As to answer the question about the phone records, Ricky Ramey did not personally ask me for anything. I did get a public records request, but those are anonymous, and then it was eventually dropped. So I have no idea what happened with that, but a public records request was brought to me. I complied, but then it was dropped before anything was turned in. So to answer your question, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, it's anonymous, so I have no clue. But that's my report. Just thank you, everyone, for all your hard work these past few weeks, and keep up the good work. Thanks.
Commissioner Perno?
Thank you. I don't have much to report other than I've had contact with some citizens regarding the flooding on the recent rains that we had, but we haven't had much rain. Thank goodness. I do have one thing I want to give out to the commission. I was on my porch this morning. The 5K for the bays. It's coming up from the estuary program, and I have more if anybody's interested. I'm bringing some to post at my business, so I'll just pass these out. And I didn't attend the bays or the music by the bay, but I heard it was really good. I'm looking forward to our fall concert series. It's going to be on Friday nights this year. So I know that's a little competition with high school football, but there's people that go to high school football, and there's people that want to maybe attend a nice concert too. And I think we'll have a good blend there and have something to offer. With that being said, I also attended our workshop about our comprehensive plan. I have thoughts on that. I know we're going to discuss that later in the meeting, but boy, it's really a feather in our cap to have FSU nearby and tap into a resource like that. It really was a good meeting and a very informative workshop. So with that being said, I'll just thank everyone, every city employee and all our first responders and military, and that's my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Commissioner Perno and I attended the TPO, which is Transportation Planning Group. And like I've said before, it's important for Lynn Haven to be represented on that committee. It's a very informative process.
Yeah, even though our last meeting was a bit of a rhubarb.
Well, there is a lot of discussion because you have all of the municipalities there, and they're all fighting for control.
Yes. And
But don't worry, we hang in there.
there's a governing group also, the Emerald Coast Regional Council.
Yeah.
And they were put on the podium a little bit there. So, but they're going to keep the ECRC, which does a great job of running the TPO.
Governing, yeah. The important thing is that Lynn Haven is represented on that committee. I did attend the Music by the Bay. What's great about the Music by the Bay is it really is a family atmosphere. There were a lot of kids, a lot of young families, and I think we need to get some of those young families involved in government. And because I know it's the same old statement, they are the future, but it is the truth. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
All right, thank you. City Manager's report.
The warrant list. Any questions? Okay. And now it is time for our employees of the quarter. I'm going to ask that first, Ty Ferris come up to recognize his employee of the quarter.
Courtney thought she was here this morning to speak on behalf of Article 5 and 6, so this is sort of a surprise for her. A big surprise. The success of any department really boils down to the dedication of the people and the character of the people. You have gone far above and beyond since you've taken over at the shelter. As the director of the department, I couldn't have done it without you, and I appreciate all the hard work that you put in for it.
Courtney was absolutely surprised. She thought she was coming in to do something else today. She works really hard at the animal shelter. If you've never seen her in action out there with all of those different animals, people coming in and trying to adopt animals, she and Mr. Miller are doing a fantastic job. So I just want to say thank you again for the work that you do for our city and trying to keep animals in homes for us. So thank you, Courtney. And I'm going to ask Jennifer, she'll come up and say the next employee of the quarter.
Thank you, City Manager, and to the commissioners and the mayor. It is my honor and pleasure to announce that the co-recipient of the Employee of the Quarter is my nominee, Jeremy Bargy. Come on. So since moving into this building, the quiet tech specialist who has been in every office making sure we're connected with our computers, our internets, our phones, our cell phones, and then fixing them when we mess them up, which we do on a regular basis. I'm one of the majors. Jeremy comes very quickly, stealthily, quietly, gets us back up and running without complaint. I, too, sat down and said, so, Jeremy, you know why you're here this morning? And he pointed to the 3-minute. He had no idea, which is what we like to do, but he continues to work hard for all the employees, the citizens, and the city, making sure we're staying on track. Jeremy, thank you.
The way the employee of the quarters are chosen is that they're recommended through their supervisor or someone else that's seeing great things that they're doing above and beyond their job duties. These are two people that do just that with a great attitude. And just want to say thank you again and congratulations. We love surprises. Just a couple of things, several meetings with contractors, developers, residents, and commissioners over this past two weeks. City Government Week is coming up in October, and we have some pretty good things planned for City Government Week. We're also looking at a date in October, maybe for Art in the Park. That's been a really, really great event. We're going to be pretty busy this season, so I'm going to give you some dates of things ahead of time. Tree lighting is December the 3rd this year. The Christmas parade, the first Saturday this year, is on the 7th. We'll do our 9/11 ceremony at 9 a.m. Winter Wonderland will be on the 16th of November this year. And yes, our fall concert series kicks off on September 20th at 6 p.m. with String Theory. Registration for Fall Ball has closed now. We have a total of 900 participants in Fall Ball. Normally, Fall Ball is a very smaller group, but I think that the Sports and Recs Department is doing an outstanding job of recruiting and giving our youth and coaches top quality softball and baseball, so we're pretty excited about that as well. We are also looking for, because our program is growing, that means that we need more coaches. So we're looking for anyone that would be interested in coaching a team. We're particularly looking for coaches for the 6U. If you don't know, our biggest probably division is Wii Ball. That is like the 3 and 4 year olds, and pretty exciting for them as well. We did make preparations for the storm, and we have sandbags that we give out throughout the year. But you'll see in the coming days that we have kind of revamped the way we give out sandbags and sand, and you'll see that posted pretty soon. Table Talk is this Thursday at 5:30. And thank you, Rotary, for allowing me, Rotary of Lynn Haven. I went to speak there this past week just to give new updates about what's going on in the city, look into the future, and it was a great day. So thank you, Lynn Haven Rotary. And that's my report.
Thank you. All right, City Attorney.
I have no report.
All right, moving on to our consent agenda, approval of the minutes for 7/23/24, approval of the RFP for fuel services contract for a 1-year time extension for Davison Fuel and Oil, approval of the RFP for disaster recovery consultant services contract for a 1-year time extension for Tetra Tech, approval to amend the RFP for King Tractor Services ditch digging contract for an additional year with no price increase, approval to piggyback off of Bay County's sodium hydrochlorate contract with Odyssey Manufacturing, which is used as a disinfectant at the city's wastewater treatment plant, approval to authorize the mayor to assign amendment one-time extension for the CDBG-DR grant for West 10th Street Utility Improvements Project with Dewberry Engineers, approval of the amendment number 2 for FDEP Vulnerability Study Contract, approval to change the trim public hearing for the fiscal year 24-25 budget dates from September 10th to September 11th at 5:30 p.m., and approval to declare an asset, a Honda 1 and a Honda 2 surplus and auction off. Is there a motion for this agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Vandegrift, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you'll call the roll.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. New business. First reading by title only of Ordinance 1166, amending the city's UODC to repeal regulations in chapters 1, 3, 9, and 10, and amending chapter 14 of the city's code of ordinances to adopt the flood management regulations. City Attorney.
Want me to read it first? Yeah. Ordinance number 1166, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the city's Unified Land Development Code to repeal regulations in chapters 1, 3, 9, and 10 related to flood management, amending chapter 4 of the city's Code of Ordinances related to building regulations to adopt flood management regulations, providing applicability, severability, and an immediately effective date.
So this ordinance makes substantial changes to your Code of Ordinances and your Unified Land Development Code. All of these changes are prompted by FEMA's update of their flood maps, which will go into effect in October. So FEMA has reviewed all of these amendments. You are repealing some provisions entirely, but they're not going away. They're actually being relocated to other portions of the code so that most of your flood management regulations are all in one place.
All right, are there any questions for the city attorney? No voting on this today. We will vote on this at our second meeting in August. All right, discussion and possible approval of resolution 2024-08-434 to adjust the mid-year budget for fiscal year 23-24.
A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the final budget for fiscal year 23-24 and providing for an effective date. This is just, we transferred some money from one department to where it really should have been in streets for paving, and also a emergency situation in sewer that we had to get someone out to fix some pipes.
Are there any additional questions for the city manager or chief infrastructure director?
Yes, I have one. I had a meeting with city manager about this yesterday, and I just don't understand how this pipe that broke is located in Callaway. You want to talk about that?
Yes, sir. It's actually located in the city of Springfield. It's right there at Highway 98 and Cherry Street. And it is the city's effluent line that leaves the sports park, goes down Transmitter Road, crosses over, and then makes its way to the bay for the surface water disposal of our wastewater effluent.
How does our wastewater end up in Callaway?
It's a long way. Bay County, the city of Panama City, and the city of Lynn Haven all discharge behind the old paper mill site. It's been over there since the late 80s, early 90s, but that is where we are permitted to discharge.
I just, I got the information, but I just wanted it to be out there to the public, so.
Yes, sir, it travels a long way to be discharged.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions for city manager or staff? All right, is there a motion for this?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Peebles. Is there any comment from the public? Yes, sir.
Question. Is this an emergency problem that has come up dealing with the sewer and water plant?
Yes, sir. That was an emergency. It happened
Okay.
a couple of days ago.
Thank you. Remember what your finance officer said, you can't have any emergencies of dealing with this. Thank you for the answer.
I will tell you that the money that we're using for this particular emergency, we have some money set aside that came from ARPA, so that is money that has not been taken from the sewer, okay?
All right, city manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Discussion and possible approval of Marshall Brothers to perform emergency repairs on the city's wastewater affluent line in the amount of $134,550.
Yes, sir. This is what we just discussed for the budget resolution and what we discussed Friday. It's our 24-inch effluent line. There's a check valve in a vault that is leaking. The check valve was used back in the 90s when all three, the city of Lynn Haven, the city of Panama City, and Bay County converged in one line. And the check valve was used to keep water from coming back into the city's line. Since then, the lines have been separated and the check valve is no longer needed. So the rotten check valve will be removed and a spool piece installed so that the leak is eliminated and the water can continue to flow to the bay. If you see in the car here and in the proposal, the repair itself is $104,550. And then there were two options, $30,000 for a line stop and $75,000 for an inserter valve. We chose the line stop just because at this time it's more cost effective than having the inserter valve put in. So it's $134,550, and the city will supply the materials, and that's valued at about $6,000.
So this thing went dormant, like it wasn't being used except for the valve?
No, sir. The line is used every day. It's whatever we can't use in the reuse system and what doesn't go into the reuse tank and disperse to the customers is discharged to the bay. Currently, we probably put about 20% of our effluent to the bay. So the city of Springfield had gotten a call that they had a leak. They went out and determined it was on our line. We went out there and it was.
But the lines were merged, right? They're all three.
So the lines used to all be in one, and in the late 90s, they separated those lines. So now there's a Bay County line, a Panama City line, and a Lynn Haven line. And so the Lynn Haven line, unfortunately, is the one that's leaking.
Any additional questions for Mr. Lightfoot? All right, is there a motion for this?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Peebles. Is there any comments from the public? All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandergriff,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Discussion and possible approval to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year agreement with Airgas for 150-pound cylinders of sulfur dioxide and chlorine gas for the water and wastewater treatment facilities.
So back in 2018, the city entered into an agreement with Nexair for a gas cylinder for chlorine and SO2 for our water and wastewater plants. Since then, the city has continued to use Nexair with no interest in looking at other companies. Our Assistant Director, Danny McCardle, has taken a lot of time and work to pursue some cheaper alternatives. Airgas has promised to deliver the chlorine gas for about $189.83 cheaper per cylinder and about $45.17 cheaper per SO2. This will be a one-year term, and next year, if they can hold their prices, we will bring before the commission for approval for an extension, or we will pursue other options for a cheaper price. Currently, Airgas, Nexair, and Industrial Chemicals are the only provider. However, Industrial Chemicals declined to give us a quote because they do a lot of business with both of the other companies. So they didn't want to compete with their vendors.
All right, any additional questions for Mr. Lightfoot? All right, is there a motion for this?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
All right, motion by Commissioner Peebles, second by Commissioner Perno. Any comment from the public? All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandergriff,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Discussion and possible approval of contract with C.W. Roberts in the amount of $780,050 for Phase 4 of the Legislative Roadway Paving Project.
Good morning.
Good morning. Are there any additional questions for Mr. Baker?
I just wanted to ask, this is the one that will be matched, right? If we pay it, it'll be matched back.
Well, it's not a match on the city's part. DOT is, or the legislative funding pays for it.
Right, okay. Okay.
We pay upfront and get reimbursed.
Right.
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 All right, are there any additional questions? Is there a motion for this?
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Peebles, second by Commissioner Perno. Any comments from the public? City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Discussion and possible approval of construction and engineering services agreement with Dewberry in the amount of $100,125. Mr. Baker.
This is the engineering construction services for the Phase 4 paving project that you just awarded. DOT requires us to use a third party, and under our continuing service contract, we were able to do it through that.
All right, are there any additional questions for Mr. Baker?
This goes out to bid, the third party? Do you have to pick a party or?
No, we were able to use our continuing service contract with Dewberry, but we are required to have a third party as an inspector. And DOT has approved it.
All right, any other additional questions? All right, is there a motion for this?
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Peebles, second by Commissioner Vandegrift. Is there any comments from the public? City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. This time we'll have our discussion only about Chapter 10, Articles 5 and 6 from our Code of Ordinances. We're still discussing the animal chapter. Are there any comments regarding Articles 5 and 6? All right, no comments regarding Articles number 5 and 6. Moving on to the discussion only about the process for reviewing the comprehensive plan. As Commissioner Perno stated earlier, we did have a very good workshop led by Dr. Chapin, as well as some good input from our staff on previously how the comprehensive plan has been reviewed, and giving us some suggestions on what we can do to review the plan moving forward. Friday, we did have, I think, a good discussion regarding our comprehensive plan. I think we're still sort of looking at a start date that we would want to start looking at the plan. I know we did give some direction to the city manager regarding compiling a survey so that we could start sending that survey out. And so we did receive sort of that draft survey in our email on yesterday. So just ask that you would, look over that, make sure we give her some good feedback on that. Following the meeting Friday, talked a little bit more with her about timeline. And so here's sort of what I'm proposing. And of course, please give your feedback, is we would conduct a survey in September, that we would have our choices or input by this month. And then September, we would roll out the survey. And then during the month of October, those survey findings or the survey responses will be compiled. And also in October, we would have our town hall led by a facilitator. Hopefully, she's checking on the schedule for that to see if a facilitator would be available. Specifically, the one that we used for the Florida Avenue workshop that we had. So checking to see if she's available in October to conduct a town hall for us, or workshop, charrette, whatever term you like to use for it. But basically, a forum so that our citizens can come and give their input. And again, we can compile that information, compare that to what we receive in the survey, so that will give input to what the vision of to our vision statement. Now, when we make mention of vision statement, that is actually what the purpose statement is in the comprehensive plan. So when we look at the comprehensive plan and it's talking about, the purpose of this plan, that's really the vision statement. So we have a vision statement already, but it's reviewing that with the input that we've received. So we're not starting from scratch on trying to create a vision statement. So it's looking at that purpose that we see, but then, revising that based on the input that we're receiving from people that we talk to individually. I know, like Commissioner Warwick and Commissioner Peebles, you're going to have your, meeting with the commissioners. I'm sure people are going to have some input for that. So it's not just, hey, only input from surveys, the open forum or the town hall, but whoever's speaking to us to put that information together. And then it will give us the opportunities in November and December when we meet to discuss revising that vision, with the idea that hopefully in January, we can sort of hit the ground running with starting to review the comprehensive plan. So that's sort of the thought is September, we roll out the survey. October, we follow up with the town hall. And then November, December, we get a chance to discuss the results of the survey and how that should revise the purpose statement or the vision that's in the comprehensive plan. And then we can start discussing, the various sections starting in January. So that's the timeline that I'm proposing. Any feedback on that?
I like the plan.
Any other feedback?
Sounds good to me.
All right. And Commissioner Perno, yesterday in your discussion with the city manager, did you all discuss the staff's proposal about making sure that we go ahead and approve what needs to be done so we meet our deadline?
I just double checked with the city attorney on that while you were talking.
Okay.
Understand. So it's our efforts won't hold anything up.
Got it. All right. Awesome. Has there been any other thoughts since Friday? I know we had a really good discussion about the comprehensive plan on Friday and just sort of the feedback that we got from Dr. Chapin and others and sort of. So I think it was a really good discussion. Any other discussion on the comprehensive plan from Friday? Any new ideas from Friday?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I reviewed the sample survey, and I have some suggestions that I'll speak to the city manager.
Now, one of the things that we are also considering as we discuss the comprehensive plan is to allow citizens, usually for discussion only, we don't really get a lot of citizen input, but possibly with this comprehensive plan to allow citizens a time to make comments during our discussion time, so that in case they don't make it to the forum, in case they're not able to do a survey, that they won't feel like their voice is not being heard in regards to the comprehensive plan. So instead of waiting until we get ready to vote on it and then having to go back and make those adjustments, that we would hear it meeting by meeting in a timed manner, but that we would also allow our citizens to have some input as we're discussing that, because it's the city's plan, right? We're sort of leading the charge, but it's our city's plan. So
I understand, based on the lecture that we had in the workshop, I didn't get a chance to, I'm sorry I wasn't there Friday, but my take on that is, the changes need to be made, the tweaking of the comprehensive plan based on our true efforts are going to be in changing our regulations.
Correct. Yeah.
And because basically all of our zoning guidelines are in the comprehensive plan, but we need to get, just as we have the maps for our land uses and whatnot. We need to, if our minds are right on what we want to do for our city, so we need to have a zoning map in place.
Yeah. So that'll be
in certain zones of the city, there could be certain land uses.
So that will be something that we'll discuss like in November, December, coming as part of the vision. Do we want to create zoning districts? Or do we want to leave it as is now? So that is something that we discussed very briefly. We didn't get a chance to get into the zoning part.
I just wanted to make my feelings known because I wasn't at the discussion on Fridays.
We did miss you. But we did also make the emphasis or the statement that we do, once we finish our comprehensive plan, we want to roll right into looking at our ULDC, because that's a lot of times what we're discussing when it comes to development orders and such, as we're going back to our ULDC, not so much the comprehensive plan, because it's a big picture, as Dr. Chapin said. It's sort of our guide as to what do we want to do in our ULDC. And so we did mention the idea of, ULDC is our regulations, and that we want to really start digging into that. But, I think what we do in the ULDC will be guided by what we've accomplished in our comprehensive plan. So that should, give us a better guide as to the decisions that we make and the changes that we suggest for the ULDC.
Amanda has some additional information.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I just wanted to apologize for coming in late, but I was on the phone with Florida Commerce for an hour and a half discussing the comp plan update. Basically, what they said is, I was wondering if there was a possibility for an extension and that kind of thing. So we would not be allowed an extension, but if whatever we send to them for January, if they found it to not be in compliance with their requirements, they would give us 180 days to amend that, and then possibly another 180 days after that. So we had also discussed doing two parts, doing the statutory required changes and then the other changes that are going to take longer for the vision type stuff.
Right.
All they're interested in is the required updates based upon data and analysis. So all of those things that have to be updated and looked at for a 10-year planning period and then a 20-year planning period regarding things like facilities that we provide. So things with a level of service connected to them, so water, sewer, the capital plan projects, those kinds of capital improvements, things like that. That's what they're focused on. So that's got to be accompanied by lots of data, a map series, looking at transportation, the kind of things that really we don't have any control over. Stuff that they just need for us to show that we're going to be able to meet the anticipated growth based upon Bieber's population statistics, growth statistics. That's a lot of work. I'll be working a lot of weekends. I feel that that's what I'm going to be focusing on to make sure that we get them in time, and I'll be bringing them to you when they're done. I'll probably have to reach out to the Planning Council for some assistance on where to get some of the data, and also help with the map series, because we were looking back to see when the last map series was submitted, and I think it was like 2006. So, we've got a lot of work ahead of us. So I just wanted to let you know that I had reached out to them to find out what we could do, what the parameters were. So we've got to get that done first. And then, yes, this is brilliant what you're discussing. You can take your time over that because they don't want the two things submitted at the same time. This is what they're interested in. And then your vision stuff is kind of like icing on the cake as far as they're concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that follow-up. Anything else on the comprehensive plan? All right, meeting adjourned.